welcome into another day of our daily Devos in the Psalms. Pastor Rick here today, and we are jumping back into Psalm 95, and we covered the first 5 verses yesterday, the part 1 video. If you'd like to jump over to that one, if you haven't watched it yet, that'd be a great idea. So you just jump back on the YouTube channel and find it, or hey, text me and I'll send you a link. So this part 2, we're going to go verse 6 through the end of the chapter, which is verse 11. And buckle your seatbelt today because it's going to be a good one. I don't know. I just feel kind of excited about today's content. I'm hoping that you're ready. Hope you're ready. So I got my hat. It seems a little dirty in this lighting. It didn't seem that way. I was working too hard in this hat, apparently. So it is my Bible Bros. Bible Bros and coffee hat. So I don't know. What do you think about my hat? I like this hat, even though it's a little bit worked in, you know. So we're going to jump in here. We're going to recap verses 1 through 5 just to kind of help set the stage. And then we'll jump into verse 6 through 11 for kind of the commentary devotional part. So here we go. Come, let us shout joyfully to the Lord. Shout triumphantly to the rock of our salvation. Let's enter his presence with thanksgiving. Let's shout triumphantly to him in song. For the Lord is a great God, a great King above all gods. The depths of the earth are in his hand. The mountain peaks are his. The sea is his. He made it. His hands formed the dry land. What a great God. And you are his. Come, let us worship. So just to set the stage, it's just saying who he is. What an amazing God he is. Come to him with thanksgiving, triumphantly shouting before him in song. Now, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our God, for the Lord our Maker. Sorry, I have a song stuck in my head that is from this, and apparently the song wasn't an exact quote of the CSB version. So let's worship and bow down. Let's kneel before the Lord our Maker. For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture, the sheep under his care. Now, this would have been a culture where they are very familiar with shepherding, very familiar with the tending of sheep, very familiar with how smart sheep are. And, you might find it interesting to go back to the video I did in the Psalm 23 section. I did about 6 or 7 videos on Psalm 23, and there's some really good content about shepherding in those videos. So you might go back and check it out and remind yourself of some of the reasons why God referred to us as sheep. And one of the reasons is they're kind of helpless. Another one of the reasons is they're not very smart. They need a shepherd. They need to be led. And so not trying to be offensive to anybody, but we just need to recognize our dependence upon God. So now we're going to go into, so it's so good. Like, I think that this Psalm kind of reflects the way God sets us up in our lives in general, right? You don't even know it sometimes, but God is preparing you for the thing that's coming in front of you. And so here it says, come, let us worship and bow down. After setting the stage with who he is, how amazing he is, the great God, a great King above all gods. Like, there's no one greater, no one stronger, no one, nothing, zero. He is it. He's the best, by far the best. Come, let us worship and bow down. Your response should be one of humbling yourself, lowering yourself, knowing your proper position before God. but also knowing that he's our God. We're the people of his pasture, the sheep under his care. When you talk about how a shepherd cares for his sheep, it's like, man, it's down and dirty. Like, it's personal. It's not like charts and graphs and hiring people. No, like, the shepherd is in it with the sheep, getting stuff all over him, and taking care of the sheep. It's not a distant thing. It's a personal, in your space kind of job. Like, real shepherds. There's a book out there by Lynn Anderson called They Smell Like Sheep. And it talks about pastors, but anybody that's a pastor is a pastor under the great pastor, the great shepherd, Jesus. So real pastors smell like sheep because they are amongst the sheep. They're helping the sheep. They're cleaning the sheep. They're shearing the sheep. I mean, all the, tending to wounds and all that kind of stuff. So that's who God is. And this is where getting excited, hitting my microphone all over the place. That's who God is. This is who we are. This is our position before God. So today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as at Meribah, as on the day at Massa in the wilderness, where your ancestors tested me. They tried me, though they had seen what I did. For 40 years, I was disgusted with that generation. I said, they are a people whose hearts go astray. They do not know my ways, so I swore in my anger, they will not enter my rest. Okay. Feel like we're referencing something as at Meribah, as on the day at Massa in the wilderness where your ancestors tested me. Okay. Exodus chapter 17. The entire Israelite community left the wilderness of sin. And that is not the sin as in sin against God. It is just a geographic location. From one place to the next, moving next according to the Lord's command. So they were there according to what God was telling them to do. They were in a place of obedience. So great context to couch this whole conversation in. So they camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. Now, important to recognize, they were obeying God and landed in a place where there was no water to drink. Okay, so keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, this is the group of people that walked across the Red Sea. The only people on the planet ever that have ever walked across the bottom of the Red Sea while there was still water in the Red Sea. Okay, so this is not just like they gave their life to Jesus 30 minutes ago and now they're in a place that has no water. God had prepped them. God had put them through all kinds of things and put up with all kinds of murmuring and complaining. So this was not the first time where they had tested God in their hearts, yet there had been copious amounts of grace. This wasn't even kind of the final straw. This actually, in their culture, just became this picture, really, of rebelling against God. It became the flag, the banner of that kind of living. So God took them to a place where there was no water for the people to drink. Obviously, God's got a plan. Do you see the plan? No, I don't see the plan. That's why I'm struggling with my attitude here. So they don't see the plan. So the people complained to Moses, "Give us water to drink." "Why are you complaining to me?" Moses replied. "Why are you testing the Lord?" But the people thirsted there for water and grumbled against Moses. And they said, "Why did you ever bring us up from Egypt to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst?" Like, well, that escalated quickly. There's no water. Why did you bring us here to kill us? Like, then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What should I do with these people? In a little while, they are going to stone me." The Lord answered Moses, "Go ahead of the people, take some of the elders of Israel with you, take the staff you struck the Nile with in your hand and go, and I'm going to stand there in front of you on the rock at Horeb, and when you hit the rock, water will come out of it and the people will drink." Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel. He named the place Massah and Meribah because the Israelites complained and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" They were taking their circumstances and judging God according to their circumstances, rather than thinking about who God is and then judging their circumstances according to who He is. Which one changes the most? Your circumstances. Your circumstances change all the time. God is not changing. He is good. He is faithful. Trust Him above the circumstances. You're walking in obedience. He's led you to this place called Rephidim, and there is no water. I mean, I'm talking to somebody today where you're in that place where you have been following God. You've been obeying Him, and there is no water. And you start to think, "Oh my goodness, God, what are you doing? Why am I here? Are you even here?" It's okay to have that initial reaction, but then preach to your own heart. Go get a friend to help you process and get back to the conviction that God is with you and He's there to strengthen you. He's there to show Himself real again to you in this situation. God had a plan, and He gave them water anyways. Even though they had terrible, terrible attitudes and were questioning if He even existed practically, He still gave them water. So the goal, so the end thing still happened. It was a matter of, where is your heart in the process? Are you going to trust God even when your circumstances seem to be pointing the other direction? Or are we going to be like that and grumble and complain and start to question God's love for us? How many times does He have to tell you that He loves you? How many times does He have to remind you that He sent His Son to die for you? How many times before we will just accept it and believe, God loves me and He is amazingly good? I know that right now I'm going through some hard things, and they make me struggle and they make me question. And I, like the psalmist, cry out, "How long, O Lord? Where are you? What is going on?" But to come back to that commitment that He is good and He does good and He is faithful. So let's learn a lesson from the Massah and Meribah crowd. And let's anchor our hearts to Him. That even when we get to a place and there's no water, to say, "Wow, Lord, I'm excited to see how you provide water for me in this situation. I'm excited to see how your provision is going to come in a situation where I literally can't see any options." I hope you're encouraged today. God bless you tons and tons. I'll see you tomorrow.